And here we have it. Game number 1, Taco, is going to be kicking off right now. This upper bracket set lobbies will really get to reset this weekend and, you know, come back into some traditional full game coverage.
And that's always been one of the best parts about the competition. But again, when it comes to that immediate contest, you go for the 50-50. Sometimes you're not going to walk away victorious, and that's the case here for Ejmal, as Trashy finds one of the first eliminations, actually the first elimination of game number 1 here. But it's the set lobby again, MDF. These players know what they want to do with their drops, and they know exactly who might be challenging them for it.
Yeah, a couple big names falling in the feed. We've seen Reet go down there just a second ago as well. So lots of important exchanges. It's starting a lot faster than I probably expected, to be honest. And full duos already taken out. So just giving you guys a little insight as to how difficult the competition might just be here as we're getting to switch up the pace here. And remember, this is all under the context that a lot of the individual players have not quite had enough time to fully practice and set lobbies, right? This is their, if anything, do it live or don't do it at all type situation. But it does seem like Reet was picked up here, so luckily no harm, no foul.
Instead, it's going to be Ritual and Reet, a game plan of their own. Just want to isolate Valeria, make sure to go ahead and collect that medallion, as well as the vault key card. Definitely bound to find some goodies inside, aside from just the mythic hyper SMG. And you can notice throughout the course of a lot of these games, not too many players actually opting for that hyper SMG at times. So maybe the mythic variation will be something that we can see Reet and Ritual make good work of. But again, the action hasn't stopped just yet over at Grand Glacier. Still a couple of off-spawn fights that have just taken a little bit longer than others to actually find their closure.
Yeah, sometimes things go your way, other times they don't. For Duke and Threats right here, they have a lot to work towards. You can hear the players, of course, right outside taking on the engagement with the AI. So it's up to them whether or not they're going to feel confident to go and push this while they have the advantage. But ultimately, it does seem like the material count not quite there. So the confidence not there either to conclude the fight, or really just start it for that matter. So Ducky Slam and Encrypted have the advantage here with the high ground and likely the advantageous material position, and it does seem like that's the case.
But it wouldn't be surprised to see some other teams actually trickle on over, because that's what we've got to keep an eye out for. Chimp Shear's already starting to make their rotation at Grand Glacier, but we'll have to see how that fares for them later on. Right now, Zooks along the face of this cliff, just trying to do what he can to hold on a little bit longer, but Me Too, along with Shanye, going to be able to find early 2 eliminations. That's definitely going to go a long way as well, because this is a team that is really deep south of the map here, MDF. So if they don't get this surge online early, they could definitely struggle later on. And that's where we're already seeing Elsa, Sharkman. They got wind, audio cues, that there's some action taking place, and Elsa wastes absolutely no time. A nice shield crack shot there off of the Reaper sniper, and an immediate retreat as well. Sharkman and Elsa, they just want the damage for the threshold.
I don't know how I feel about that. They had every reason to finish that battle, especially with the high ground, but we get to jump over to another team with the high ground here. Oliver OG, Asian Jeff, who are seemingly in a dominant position here. Some people were wondering, you know, why maybe their favorite streamer may not be playing this live. Hey, we're getting into the later stages of the FNCS bracket right here, like as far as the tournament series is concerned. You really want to start taking it seriously, and sometimes that just means getting into full focus mode.
But it's kind of absurd to see several different teams collecting in this far northeast section of the map. It's almost like Oliver OG, Asian Jeff, they had the mentality, we want to go for an uncontested drop and then maybe look to see if we can get a piece of the action from some of these other players that are dropping near that slumber yard, because Convicted, Jackson, Regular Bird, Male, those are the 2 teams that we see that were already collected here. And now Oliver OG, Jeff, they're just trying to do what they can, because again, in the set lobby, one of the most difficult things for teams to actually track throughout is just making sure that their Storm Surge damage threshold is above where it needs to be. And again, it's only going to be above if you're actually managing to get those tags online.
Yeah, it's impossible to know up until the warning comes out. For now, though, the game continues on. A lot more activity than I would have expected for an upper bracket game, especially this early, but it does seem like NA is not wasting any time here to fight for their drops.
Yamzo and Rise, though, not a team that had to worry about getting contested here, at least not for match number 1. But in a way, MDF, when you think about some of the veteran teams that are involved, granted, a team like Yamzo and Rise, bound to understand what best ways to rotate in order to actually find the tags that they need to stay above that Stormshoot threshold. But also, I think it's just a matter of we got so much action throughout the first 2 weeks of opens, and we just became so familiarized to seeing teams essentially key their way through lobbies that now that we are here in this set lobby format, I do feel as though we could potentially see some teams struggle a bit because they're not going to be able to have that kind of ambush gameplay to rely on.
Yeah, definitely. It'd be a lot harder to catch a team off guard here. The upper bracket's going to be the best of the best. But even Click's wary of the bushes here as he starts to take this positioning away from 20. And Tyler, little does he know, we definitely have the advantage. Epic Whale playing the side angle as well, so trying to catch him off guard. And this is why you don't base up in wood boxes, right, Taco? This puts you in a very vulnerable position. A top-tier team like Epic Whale and Clicks are going to find every advantage here.
But maybe the idea from 20 and Tyler was to possibly try and draw somebody in with those wood builds, because it's hard not to want to go on the aggressive when you see a team opting for that sort of material. And now we can see Tyler trying to place down some of those brick walls, but at the same time for Epic getting pressured. 2 players up against 1. Gotta be careful though. Epic going for these cheeky peeks through his own edits, and Clicks as well. I kind of put a pause. Ate a big shot early on from 20, and it definitely kind of caused for a little bit of a halt here for Clicks and Epic. And over by Rebels Roost, you can see a handful of teams kind of around the fringes of where these two are currently boxed up. And Clicks, even though he was able to regen those shields, at the same time, Epic starting to feel a little bit of pressure now from Tyler and 20. It seems as though Epic might just be opting for a complete disengage. Doesn't really seem to like the sort of terrain that they were kind of getting caught up in. Can be kind of difficult to gauge what direction other teams might be trying to attack from the flanks.
Yeah, all in all, good call to get out of there, but look at this fight. An edge zone, Kanata Agers poised up against Cooper and Mero here. This is a very tough spot to be in. Both sides respecting not only the zone, but one another's capabilities, as obviously there was no conclusion, no finishes. Mero and Cooper get up to the high ground here, and they continue to have the advantage of this fight so far.
Mero definitely has that eagle-eye view right now, kind of waiting to see where Kanata and Agers are exactly trying to tarp through. I mean, they are making so many boxes directly beneath Cooper and Mero.
Yeah, Cooper hit an insane tag right there onto Kanata, and they're just going to take that as a moment. Hey, they're going to have to pause and heal. Let's just get out of here, play to the zone. And honestly, I thought they would have exhausted that entire team's material, but you know what? That could have been at the detriment to both sides, right? So it makes sense for them to go ahead and get on out of there.
Definitely makes things all the more difficult for Kanata and Agers, but right now it's up to Elsa and Sharkman to just stay out of Bryce and Chubbs' sights. See Bryce trying to utilize this Ranger pistol and unable to connect with any tags just yet, but Bryce definitely seems pretty adamant on trying to find some of that surge damage early on. And now with Chubbs next to him, we'll take the opportunity to refarm some material, recognizing the fact that most teams are just opting to rotate a little bit sooner.
Big tags right here for Duke. The medallion trade-off start getting his HP up, but the trades are coming back and forth. Oliver OG and Agent Jeff demanding respect here. And the exchanges right now, and Duke could have been fooled once. You maybe call that an accident, but twice now. And that's a big mistake and an outplay. Asian Jeff just ahead of the competition right now.
Not only that, what a perfect play from Jeff, because look at how much space he's bought. Oliver OG now, just a perfect opportunity for Oliver. Make sure he gets his whites, his shields entirely back up to full. Can definitely extend the duration of this engagement, but time to elimination is not something that Reet and Ritual tend to toy around with for super long. Reet just getting very aggressive on the sides of Convict, and that's an immediate knock for Reet. You can imagine the rest of that engagement 100% going in their favor. Definitely feeling good about the damage that they're able to accrue in that short span of time.
So far, the zone's already starting to pull players closer and closer together. The Lavish Lair home to... How many teams do you have here? 6 teams now deciding that this is going to be their operation spot for a little bit. Fights happening underneath Clix, and this is what we just talked about. Wood bases, wood walls attract attention, and it's actually 20 and crew, so they actually have not given up. A little bit of revenge here to Clix and company.
I actually am starting to believe the reason behind Clix and Epic possibly pushing towards Rebel's Roost earlier on was because they knew that 20 and Tyler would be dropping there, and so they wanted to make sure they could full eliminate teams that would be behind them in chance that the zone might pull this direction more towards that north side, because now Clix and Epic, well, they're here at Lavish Lair, but again, they have to worry about that backside pressure from 20 and Tyler. It makes it very difficult, I think, for Clix to actually look for those sniper shots at will until they manage to clear out at least one of the teams that's dropping behind them.
Quick damage and a full elimination there onto Pamstu now. It's going to set Bugha and Aviv up for their first elimination. You can see the teammate just lingering on by, hiding out, trying not to be discovered here. I wonder what went wrong. Pamstu was sitting in the bush not too long ago, watching Epic Whale and Clix actually disengage from the 20 fight. So I know they were playing very slow, very cautiously.
With Aviv having that Reaper sniper, though, might be inclined to imagine that it could have just been a nice connection there from Aviv. An easy shield break. That's going to be pretty substantial grounds, I think, for Bugha and Aviv to then try and just full challenge if Aviv was able to connect with the sniper shot there onto Pamstow. But we'll just have to see how Pamstow recovers in the next lobby, or even if Lawrence manages to get him back in this game. I mean, with the reboot, Vance still being very much a possibility for some of these duos turn solo. But Peterbot and Pollo, they are a duo that might be part of the problem for some of these other teams. I mean, we've seen these guys just go absolutely ballistic for back-to-back weeks of open qualifiers now, but here in the set lobby, things are going to be more difficult in terms of how many eliminations they're able to acquire. I mean, we've been so accustomed to seeing them get at least 30% of their elims during the first 3 zones. And now, here in Zone 4, just managing to hang out above 257 damage, above that damage threshold.
What do you think about these blind shots at bases, trying to see if he could tempt someone to open up the edit?
There's nothing quite like a sniper pre-fire. But pre-fires are the last thing that 20 likely got to see there, as Clix and Epic will manage to full eliminate 20. Tyler still hanging around somewhere, I'd have to believe, just because of the fact that there's only 1 elimination here for Clix and Epic. But Zeus and Tony, now, this is a little dastardly, but it almost seems as though Clix might be aware that there's a player possibly hanging around this bush.
Yeah, you know, they all play with the visual sound effects on. They're going to catch any little bit of movement there once they get a little too close. So Zeus might have, you know, played with this food a little too long there, and now he's in trouble for it. They're going to back completely out, so the ambush unsuccessful here. And with the surge turning on, it does make me wonder if whether or not they actually needed to take that fight. Yeah, so look at this. The shot's starting to come in here. Teams are going to start looking to get a little bit more brazen with the exchanges here, whether it's worth it or not. Considering the zone has to pull all the way here, Clicks and Company surely doesn't want to stick around. But for a clean 2v2 fight, if they feel like they have the better skill set, they might just finish this duo off.
Tony and Zeus are just, they're cutting it so close to the wire here, MDF. 11 damage above the threshold. Can't really expect that to stick for a super long time, but again, it's just, who do you make your focus? And now that's why Tony and Zeus seem to be trying to push a little bit closer towards that Rift Island. More on that later. So we got to a nice little replay of what exactly went down here, and Clicks just mega challenging. That's why we drop Lavish Lair, because the Mythic Frenzy is just an absolutely destructive weapon. Not much that 20 could have done from that position.
Yeah, you got to respect the fact that, you know, Clicks was just going to protect all his sides there too, although they were on the outer edge of the zone. Little did he know, right? There was a team nearby, so sticking to the basics there is going to keep them very much alive and healthy right now. Back to Kanata and Agers, though, as they start to pick up some downed bodies here, and a full elimination onto Zeus. 2 elims make it a full wipe on the team. So Zeus and Tony may have ran before, but they didn't get them very long. They move right into the hands of Kanatas and Agers, and see, that's the kind of decision that we talked about. Clicks and Epic Whale could have easily picked those 2 eliminations up as well, but neither here nor there.
Plus, for Kanata and Agers, that might have been perfect timing as well, because remember, Mero and Cooper did some serious damage to these two in terms of how many builds they forced them to expend. So the fact that they were able to get those 2 refreshes, get those materials back up to practically full, it definitely a big swing for their mid game. But now, Cooper, Mero, more than enough damage. As far as the threshold is concerned, these two are chilling, but with how many teams they have surrounding them, an entirely different story in terms of how calm they're actually feeling in this moment. Just so many teams looking a little bit desperate here. You can see, for us at least, we get the visual cues of when that damage is being applied to some of these teams. We can tell there's a lot of teams around Cooper and Mero feeling some of that Storm Surge threshold damage, but for Mero themselves, they're just willing to apply whatever pressure they can into these other teams' edits, other team builds. More than happy to keep hunting.
And this is crazy. The team right next door, Extract Curve, was actually under surge pressure, but they fight back, and now they fend off not only that team, but the team that was pushing them originally. So all these teams under storm surge pressure. It's very clear Cooper and Mero didn't have to rush it. This is why they decided to back off, heal for a second. They had all the time in the world. Those teams have to come to them, and look at that. They walk out of there now. 5 eliminations. So when we tuned in, they had 3. Now they have 5.
Oh.
And oh, have to be careful. This is where things get really difficult to start to rotate here, of course. You start to feel the, you know, the weight of the server as well. Like this is the most difficult time inside the game right now. You really have to bunker down and hope that you make it through the next couple of minutes here. For Iamzo and Rise, the pickup right now is so important, but Pollo's knocking on the door. He sticks to pickup. And now it's a 2v1. That's a scary spot to be in.
Hey, pros don't fake. Iamzo knew he had it, and for good reason. Pollo as a solo can't afford to keep charging blindly into Iamzo and Rise. Still hoping to see if he can try and acquire another form of an elimination, but he needs a refresh drastically. This is not looking like the start to the day that Pollo and Peterbot might have originally anticipated themselves to have. Pollo just doing everything he can, but his builds, all of his hards depleted, stuck only with these wood builds to work with, and you know that's just going to continue drawing the attention of the rest of the lobby.
I'm surprised he even just gets to catch this moment right now, because realistically, when you're in wood like this and you see all that pressure already coming in, they know he barely has any material, right? That just tells me that the team shooting at him doesn't have medium ammo, because otherwise it would have been expended already. Like, there's no way Boyo should have been able to survive at that point. Epic Whale and Clicks gets taken down by Ducky in the feed there, and Acorn is a solo here with no cold. So, all right, some of the favorites already starting to get sent back to the lobby, including Baka and Parz. It's one of the first duos to fall out of this lobby if you were wondering where they were. So, just showing you what happens in this upper bracket scenario. It's difficult, much more difficult than any of the other weekends.
Yeah, I mean, again, that Ducky elimination onto Clicks, it's pretty massive, but for Acorn, just jumping immediately into the Hamza's box did not go the way that he probably would have expected it. And Ducky here as a solo as well. Just 1v2 challenge up against Clicks and Epic Whale, and successfully knocks Clicks. Epic shortly after falling from pressure coming elsewhere. But it's the fact that they were even in that predicament in the first place, up against a solo, that alone can kind of testify how difficult the set lobby can be in terms of predicting what other players are going to do.
Yeah, it just seems like they got perfectly timed right there. Super unfortunate for him to just jump in there, not catch the audio cue, and that's it. It's all over from there on out. For Agers and Kanata right now, 2 eliminations. Trying to see if they can find Haji here on the other side of the wall, but the zone's going to reveal itself. It's going north. They have some moves to make. Do the builds. Okay, so they have plenty of materials that they own here. And oh, they're below the surge. Okay, so it all makes sense. I was wondering if things were like maybe waiting to catch up, but no, they actually need a little bit more damage. And although the threshold's been cut, they know, oh, we have to get much more active.
Saved by the bell for the time being, but for how much longer for the rest of the lobby begins trying to go on the hunt again. Oliver OG and Asian Jeff, again, based on from where they started MBF to where they are currently, it's definitely impressive because they've had to deal with a lot of traffic through their original rotations, and they just still keep making it work. Agers and Kanata, such an aggressive charge in up against Mason. They just waste no time, tear through this man's walls, find an immediate knock, and toss him into a better position. Medallion collection as well here for Agers. They're definitely going to be big because now that's something that Agers and Kanata can share.
It's perfect. Perfect job from Agers right here. Just recognizing, all right, look, we got a little bit of too much attention on us right now. Let's go back up. We have plenty of builds here. There's a team above us. We need to retake control of the situation we found ourselves in, and it even comes back for the upgrades there. So they're set up for a great endgame at this point. Meanwhile, on high ground, very what feels repetitive of the week 1. Taco, you and I were just going through old footage yesterday, and take a look at this. We see Aviv and Booga in the same position here early on the zone, not overcommitting to one position or the other, and they're up here with just enough material to make a play.
And that's really all they're trying to do, is create an opportunity. They recognize the fact, okay, zone didn't pull in our favor. We're not gonna expend all of our materials on trying to commit to that mini sky base that they had going temporarily, but you never know. If it pulls back, maybe that's something that Aviv and Booga could contemplate revisiting, although I'd say relatively unlikely at that point. Aoxy and Flow, though, with 8 eliminations here to start the day. If they could just keep this momentum going, they might be able to find a solid amount of points, but maybe the Victory Royale, because that's the main thing that all these teams are looking for here in the upper bracket.
Aoxy's a serious scrimmer. This guy spends a lot of time practicing. He has over the years. Could it be that this is his chance, his time to continue to prove why he's worked his way up, why he worked so hard? For Aviv and Booga now, though, we get back into the story here. So from high ground to low ground, now to no material and a man down. Aviv has to play this out by himself. Tough spot to be in. Something went wrong, clearly, on the move here as they were trying to resource gather on the way in. It's Shanye who ends up catching him out. On over to the Reek story here as he picks up his 3rd elimination on the low ground. Shots are coming in. He's going to have to play the zone here potentially. He's got the 3-man kit, so it's a win condition. It's a placement condition as well. They just want to take their time. He's got way too many materials to do that.
It's just this zone pool, they have just felt so brutal. And the fact that it's tracking So close here for Cooper and Mero, just trying to third party in everybody else's boxes.
It's working.
It's going great for them. But
look at high ground right now.
That's exactly what it's all about. Agers making sure to utilize some of that height towards himself. But again, Agers has his position. The question is whether or not he can hold it, because only 15 builds, they've definitely got to send somebody back down, and it's going to be a connection there. But Kanata and Agers, they seem like they really just want to try and hang out and wait for the low ground to kind of eliminate itself.
That's right. Reet and Ritual, though, under serious pressure here. They were just so healthy, comfortable, if you will, and all of a sudden now things are starting to turn against them as the lobby starts to find them out, and they're on the backside of zone. Reet here doesn't want to be taking that extra damage. There it is. Finally finds a chance here. Going to slide back and forth, but Material completely out now. They have to fight. Shots coming from above, shots coming from below. It's Cooper and Mero continuing the onslaught. They are racking up elimination after elimination. They needed that Material as well, desperately here, to allow them to just stay alive a little bit longer, but they've picked up so many eliminations. They've effectively closed the gap for Asian Jeff and Oliver OG. Staying alive is on the story as well here. Shots come in, it's Flo and Aoxy. The carnage continues for them too. The shots are good on both sides, but Aoxy and Flo are just sharp right now, cutting through this entire lobby here. 11 elims now.
But who's up next is the question. You can see Asia still hanging out on the ultimate high ground. Kanata, I think, just trying to play as much disruptor as he can to these teams in the middle and low ground layers. And Kanata doing a decent job, at least for monitoring who's actually trying to squeeze their way through some of these low ground builds. Kanata definitely doing everything he can to apply as much pressure as possible to these teams below, because we don't know what the medkit situation looks like right now for Agers, but we know that Aviv won't be a part of this match for any longer. Now Kanata hoping to solidify one more. Instead it's going to be Aoxy with the 180, but he finds himself knocked as well. The zone damage just too much to deal with, and now it's pure heal off. Unless Flo might have something to say about it, but the odds of Flo finding Cooper or Cooper making it back up to Agers, very unlikely.
Yeah, Kanata did his job. He went down, he created, havoc. He found some eliminations. That's the best you can ask of a teammate. For Agers right now, I'm not sure he's going to have enough versus Cooper. Cooper has the quick heal. He already had more of a HP advantage, right? So you can just see that it is just a matter of time for Agers right now as he recognizes, I think it's all over, and Cooper takes the win here alongside Mero with an 11 elimination lead over the competition. Just an excellent showcasing for game number 1.
I mean, we want to talk about our global champions, and this is the reason why. Because in game number 1 of the upper bracket, Monster, they are not taking any chances. They said, we're good. You guys got the other 4 games today. We'll see what happens next, but we're taking this freebie out of here.
It's the upper bracket, right? Clock in and clock out. Cooper and Mero jump in here, and they just made work of the low ground, and they really worked for it. It was not a free game by any means. They truly had to step up the game, step up to the plate, and hit every single opportunity that presented itself, and then play for the heal off against 2 other teams. That's not an easy victory royale by any means.
Especially when you're not 100% certain on where some of those other teams might be located, but it's not about us breaking things down exclusively, Monster, because again, we can appreciate the gameplay all day long, but I want to get more into the minds of where exactly things went right for Cooper and Mero.
Yeah, we'll have to find that out. Let's send it on over to Zeke to see it.